This is the Shotgun City Sheriff, the law himself, Clayton Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Kennedy, a.k.a. Mr. Anderson.
This is the Young Titan, Aaron Atlas.
Hey, this is Matt Brannigan.
This is the Warbound Hellhound, Bo Sword.
This is your favorite drunken pro wrestler, a.k.a. the Bud Light Brawler, Dalton Davis.
This is Lizzie Six.
This is Jake Something.
And this is the jaw-jacking, back-cracking, God created all men equal, and then he made me the sequel, Rohit Raju, and you are listening to the Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast. Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast. Hell yeah.
The Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast? Yeah, that's right, I stuttered. Shut up.
Now, you know me, Michael Madrox.
I do.
I'm not usually a big conspiracy theory guy.
No. It depends on the situation.
It depends on the theory as well. I have a conspiracy right now that I want to present to everyone.
Okay.
And I'm probably contributing to this conspiracy that I've created in my head by having this conversation right now, right here.
Okay.
So, quick little plug-ski before we get into the actual plug-skis and the rigmarole. As you know, Spot Show Podcast is now available on YouTube.
Yes.
You can listen to Spot Show Podcast on YouTube, new platform, whatever. So I go on Instagram. I make an Instagram story. And I post about it. And then I simply put in the post, I say, I'm just trying to beat the algorithm and succeed. We all know what it is. Meta, in my opinion, does not want small businesses like ours to succeed.
Unless you're paying them.
Unless you're paying them. Granted, we've paid for, let's just peek behind the curtain a little bit here. This is going to be a little bit of an airing of a grievance. Not necessarily with Meta, even though there are pretty good grievances that you can air. But just in general, growth in general. Yes. We've paid for our fair share of ad space on Meta. Saw some pretty good traffic from it, as you're wont to do when you run ads. But I make this post on this is my personal Instagram. This isn't the MadBash. You run the MadBash
Instagram, yeah.
IG account, and we both run the Facebook. From the time that I made that post, I have noticed that, not because they're linked on Facebook and Instagram, my stories are getting substantially less viewers.
Because you're distracting people from going to their platforms.
Because I made the comment, I'm trying to beat the algorithm. I called it for what it was. So, don't make the same mistake that old Dickie Wabash made. Just let it be omnipresent and try to do your best to play into it without trying to break it. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spot Show Podcast. This is, of course, an independent wrestling podcast with a few pit stops along the way. You know me, still the same OG, but I've been low-key. Jim Minton, Dickie Wabash, right over there that we were just talking to. That's the one-legged wonder, Michael Madrox, and we just trying to beat the algorithm, man. We're just two guys that are trying to actually
trying to be everything today.
Just trying to do everything today. Boy, we're going to get into it on Paid Show, but this has been a rough go for this podcast. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, of course, again, this is the Spot Show Podcast. Each and every week, Michael Madrox and I get together and talk about what's going on in the wacky world of independent professional wrestling, and everything in the middle. Everything. We talk about everything on here. That's what's great about us is we're a grab bag of topics.
Pop culture pimple.
A pop culture pimple. And when you squeeze us,
you don't know what to expect to come out.
You really don't. You really don't. Should probably go see your dermatologist on that one, though. I will give you that. Of course, the best way that you can support us if you like what we're doing here is that you can go to patreon.com/MadBash Studios. Back us at that $5 and above tier, and you're going to get this show early and ad-free. You're going to get basically everything that we do early and ad-free, but you're also going to get exclusive content like Untitled Wrestling Commentary, and like our new vlog series. Ooh, did I just drop that one? I did. You're going to be hearing about that on Paid Show a little bit more. Of course, you're going to be getting Paid Show on Patreon, Untitled Wrestling Commentary. There's tons of other things that we got going on over there on the Patreon. That's the best way to support us.
Hundreds of hours.
Hundreds. We're nearing hundreds of hours. We're probably at this point over 100 hours of content.
I guarantee it.
Across the $5 and $10 tier, absolutely. We got to be over 100 hours over there on the Patreon. That's not the only way that you can support us, though.
No, not at all.
Yeah. You can, of course, go to MadBashStudios.com. There you will find links to all of our social media sites, Facebook, YouTube, favorite podcasting platforms.
The forbidden TikTok.
Go to the Facebook, like the Facebook page, follow the Facebook page, whatever the difference is. Go to the YouTube page and subscribe. Again, the podcast is now available on YouTube, so go check that out. But one of the better ways that you can support us is go to your favorite podcasting platform, leave us a 5-star written review. That's really going to help us get into the algorithm and get more eyes on us. And of course, you can share us with someone that you think, they might like what we're doing over here.
I mean, we're going on 2 years now.
We're going on to, today is the day that we're recording this is the anniversary of when we announced
The Spot Show.
That Spot Show was coming. And that original artwork for the Spot Show podcast was terrible. In that time, we've had 3 different artworks. And this current one is is my most favorite.
It has to be. I mean, if you keep staying in the past, it's not going to improve anything.
Yeah. And you talk about the past, like that's what's funny is that the theme that we've gone with a lot of like the aesthetic of Mad Bash has been kind of that retro feel. Mm-hmm. I think that's a pretty cool vibe. I've always really liked that retro vibe. I love the artwork for this podcast.
The original artwork reminds me of like a retro coffee shop.
Well, the original
comedy club style.
The original artwork reminded me it was just generic podcast artwork.
Yeah.
Nothing stuck out about it to me. And then when we had the second bit of artwork, we're on the 4th because the original colors were blue and pink, and then we modified that artwork to be red and blue, and then now we're into the blue and white, like that blue and beige.
Yeah,
blue and beige is cream is a good way to put it. But yeah, of course, if you like what we're doing here, you can support us on all those ways. That's pretty good. But that's not all. We've got some plug skis. We got some plug skis and upcoming dates here. March 8th, 2025, Elite Pro Wrestling, Washington, Indiana. We're going to be there, but there's going to be something else that's going to be there.
A Wrestleversary?
Something wicked this way comes. Something
shank happens.
Something shank this way comes. Shank Barzini is going to be challenging Colby Jack for the Mad Bash Wrestling Championship, Washington, Indiana, Elite Pro Wrestling Wrestleversary, March 8th, 2025. And here's a little fun fact, because you know me, I love to do this stuff. Shank Barzini is about to be the second person in Mad Bash Wrestling history to challenge for the Mad Bash Wrestling Championship twice.
Really?
Do you know who the first one was?
Cutler.
Clayton Clark. Yep. Because Clayton was in the finals of the Ascend the Throne tournament, so he was challenging
and then
for
the
it.
triple threat match.
And then the triple threat match. No one person has ever challenged for it twice other than Clayton. So,
what kind of mood do you think Shank's going to be in? Because first he wanted the Mad Cow.
He does.
Colby shot that down.
Colby says he's not getting the Mad Cow, but I mean, who knows?
And then we're in Washington. Shank hates that place.
He does have a bad history in Washington. Literally a year ago to the day is when he lost the ladder match to Kindle Fire.
So Shank's already coming in with a big chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Poor Colby.
Yeah. Poor Colby indeed. Who knows?
The underdog, though.
The ultimate underdog.
He can pull it off.
And of course, this episode is brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling and Venom Energy, but you're going to hear a little bit more about them later, because we've got some important shit to get into here, Madrox.
Like, why was Hulk Hogan mentioned on the WWF hotline?
For those of you that did not listen to the episode of Spot Show Podcast a couple of weeks ago, where we reviewed the January 12th episode of WWF Raw is War from January 12th, 1998. That was of course, the go home Raw before Royal Rumble. We decided, and by we, I of course mean me, that we were going to take a look at the episode of WCW Monday Night Nitro that went head to head with that episode of WWF Raw is
Just
War.
because Raw was posting Hulk Hogan was going to be a featured news story on their hotline.
Simply for that reason. Now, here's the thing. That episode of Monday Night Raw was really solid. How does this episode of Nitro hold up?
We're about to find out.
Well, before we get into it, Madrox, why don't you just give me a few of your thoughts about this episode? What were you expecting going into it? Don't talk about necessarily what you took away from it, because we'll get into that whenever we get into the final wrap-up.
I was expecting no Hulk Hogan, honestly.
Really?
'Cause why would the alternate company be plugging, like, what's going on with Hulk Hogan? Call us right now to find out.
It was definitely a weird tactic for them to do that.
Yes.
It makes it even weirder.
And then I was going in expecting, oh, damn, more shitty WCW.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily expecting shitty WCW because, you know, you talked about how you just don't like to do WCW 2000. And I agree with you. 2000 is rough. And
With the kickoff at 1998, it's not much better.
it is though. I think, but I'm not going to give my full score of it yet. But I went into this cautiously optimistic because this is peak Dickie Wabash watching wrestling. This is peak channel surfing Dickie Wabash. This is peak going back and forth and watching Nitro and Raw. I do not remember this episode of Nitro as much as I remembered the episode of Raw, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited to get into it. So, of course, this episode...
See, we kind of flipped, though.
How's that?
Because I normally text you, and I'm like, oh my God, this episode's rough. This week, you texted me and said, man, this feels like 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm going to... This episode drug on for me. It definitely...
And in my case, it went by so quick, so...
Yeah.
We flip-flopped.
Yeah, this episode is, of course, live from Jacksonville, Florida. And it opens up with a flashback, or a recap, rather, of the previous Thursday's episode of Thunder, which was apparently the first episode of Thursday Night Thunder.
The debut episode, they had some big names on that Thunder.
Yeah, well, there's one takeaway from that Thunder, though. This was when J.J. Dillon made the decision, you know, Starrcade was all fucked up. We're holding up the WCW title. And this moment, Michael Madrox, even though I said I don't remember much about this Nitro, this moment in WCW history specifically is ingrained in my skull.
Why?
Because it was the first time that Crow Sting spoke.
Oh.
And I remember this happening. And I remember losing my fucking mind. And I remember running.
He got his voice back.
It's not even, yeah. I just remember because, you know, you got to really go back and look at, like, you have to be there in that mindset to understand how crazy it was. You know, Sting leaves, he comes back as the Crow.
At this point, it's like a year and a half since he's last spoken.
And he hasn't talked at all. He's just been pointing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they say, Sting, what do you want? And the crowd's chanting Hogan, Hogan, and he's pointing his bat at the crowd, and they know that he wants Hogan. But this is the first time that Sting has spoken. And I remember I'm freaking out. I run in. My dad is sound asleep. I burst open the bedroom door. Dad, Sting just spoke. He didn't care.
What was bigger, Sting talking or Kane talking with the voice box?
The Sting. I would say Sting.
Really?
Yeah, because of this build. So Sting looks at J.J. Dillon, points the bat at him and says, "You got no guts." And then he points at Hogan and says, you're a dead man. Here's where this is weird. Not any future spoilers here. No sign of Sting on this episode.
No.
Of Raw, or of Nitro.
I mean, plenty of video packages, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to get into some video packages here. So yeah, they cold open with that, and then we go into the intro of
the iconic Nitro.
Iconic intro. That's what I was going to call it right here. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the explosions going
buildings.
off, and buildings, and all this other stuff going on. We cut to the pyro. Pyro's going crazy.
I just want to throw this out there.
Yeah,
That was like $1,000 worth of set pieces back then in the day. I think we could redo the WCW set for MadBash Wrestling cheaper.
I know where your head's at, and I know what you're thinking, but you're actually way off on that figure, because I recently just saw, and this is why this is in my head. I just saw a TikTok recently where that was filmed at Disney MGM Grand Studios. There's no way that was a full movie set.
No, I'm talking about just the entranceway.
Oh, the entranceway.
Yes.
I thought you meant the intro video.
No, I think MadBash should bring it out of retirement.
What if I told you that I had the exact same fucking thoughts? What if I told you I had the exact same fucking thoughts? Because I said I love the old Nitro stage so much.
All it is fucking stage lighting rigs.
Yeah.
Squared out.
One of the first things that I took away from this episode, from this intro, is the same thing that our lovely, lovely Patreon backer CT23 took away from this as well. Because he did the homework.
He did the homework for us.
I got some notes from him here. And what's funny about this is that his thought is my thought as well. The amount of signs that were, we talked about this with Raw. The amount of fucking signs that are everywhere.
It makes it so much more appealing for TV.
Oh my God, it's crazy. We then cut to the commentary team of Tony Schiavone, Iron Mike Tenay, and the living legend Larry Zbyszko.
I just want to throw this out there. That fucking commentary announce table, if JD McDougall would have done his fucking injury on that, he would have died.
Or JD McDonough.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Jordan Devlin.
Yeah, Jordan Devlin. So here's what, and Larry Zbyszko would always do this. They're running down like what happened on Thursday. Tenay and Shivani are, and meanwhile Zbyszko's just turning around, looking at the crowd, pandering to him to the point where they're chanting Larry.
I never realized this until watching this back. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike Tenay, why does he look like a bug laying on top of a melted ice cream pile in the sand?
Mike Tenay always has had some like mantis features about him in a
he
way.
looks like a mantis head with an melting ice cream body. He just looks so awkward sitting there looking dead ass into the camera,
Mike Tenay,
staring through my soul.
Mike Tenay looks like those old calendars that you would see where they would put babies in like adult positions, where they would put them in like suits and stuff.
Zoidberg in a baby suit.
Zoidberg in a baby suit.
Tell me I'm wrong though.
You're not wrong at all. Yeah, so they're talking over. Zbyszko is still just pandering to the crowd. They show what happened on Nitro last week, which, if you are ready to hear about this 1,000 times, brother, strap in, because they mention this a lot. So basically what happened last week is during a match, Macho Man Randy Savage I believe it was Nash versus Luger. I don't know, because I didn't really give that much of a fuck about it. Macho Man is coming out with a chair. As he's swinging it, Eric Bischoff pulls it behind him. Macho Man spins around and fucking clocks Bischoff. Now, come on, they're all in the nWo here. Spins around, clocks Bischoff. Hogan gets in Macho Man's face. Macho Man bitch slaps Hogan. Then they start facing off. And then here comes Kevin Nash, and he just fucking Pearl Harbors Macho Man. So we're basically in the death throes of the nWo right here.
It's all Bischoff's fault.
And apparently it's all Bischoff's fault. But whose fault is it? Because no one gives a direct answer throughout all of this. Because Nash says it's Macho Man's fault. Macho Man says it's Bischoff's fault. Hogan thinks it's fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin's fault for stealing the shirt rip at the exact same time. Yeah, man, it's this, and I'm going to bury the lead a little bit here, is this was one of the problems with this era of WCW, but there was one instance where this wasn't a problem, and I'll get into that in a minute whenever we get to it, is that commentary all night is just only solely focused on the nWo story.
Yeah,
and that's all they talk about.
It's so bad, man.
Michael
Madrox.
Madrox.
From all the action in the ring.
It does. It does. Would you care to tell the people what Mean Gene Okerlund is up to right now, Madrox?
Mean Gene is out back waiting on the nWo, maybe the DX limo to arrive.
Imagine if the limos somehow got fucked up It just fucking DX pulls up in Nitro.
This is what I picture in my head.
Please.
The first limo arrives is nWo like it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Mean Gene's sitting out there smoking a cigarette on a bucket, waiting for the second one to arrive. Doors fly open. Triple H comes rolling out. China comes rolling out. Owen Hart and his crutch comes rolling out. And Shawn Michaels pops out the top and is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're in the wrong building, brother.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I actually wrote down on my notes, I said Mean Gene is waiting for the nWo limousine to arrive, and at this point, I imagine Madrox threw his phone at the TV. Yeah, so Hogan and the nWo get out.
Do you think they choreographed that?
Choreographed what?
We're thinking about having a limousine arriving segment. Oh, Eric, that sounds great. Us too.
That's what, yeah, I was going to mention that, is both shows open with with a limo arriving intro.
Exactly.
With both of the main factions. Oh my God. So Hogan gets out. Everyone's just going. You notice it's not the entire nWo though. So Mean Gene's waiting for him. Hogan gets out and the nWo get out with him. And the audio is all kinds of fucked up here. You really can't hear what's being said into the microphone.
It keeps cutting out and shit.
Yeah, Mean Gene asks Nash about the hit on Macho Man. And then Hogan gets in and says, "We're going to get to the bottom of that tonight, dude." Kevin Nash ends the segment by saying, "All I gotta say is Savage don't want any part of me." And everyone's like, whoa, okay, that's fucking, you're throwing it down now. Y'all are supposed to be nWo. Y'all are supposed to be for life.
As everyone else is like, it's family business.
It's family business. And then Nash is like, oh yeah, Macho Man doesn't want any part of me. And then the segment ends with Buff Bagwell flexing for the camera because, of course, why wouldn't it?
Why not? At this point, you realize that Hogan is not, in fact, on the WWF hotline filtering calls.
Yeah, well, at this point, they haven't said that yet in the show. So it's like, what are they? Yeah, what are we doing? All right. Time for match number 1, Michael Madrox. We got Jerry Flynn versus Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg comes to the ring. Jerry Flynn is in there.
This is not Jerry Lynn.
This is Jerry Flynn. Here's what I find very funny about this. The way that this match starts is that Jerry Flynn just starts, bell rings. Jerry Flynn just immediately throws a TNA kick and then gets into what looks like a shoot fight with Bill Goldberg. And why
did they both go for a side leg lock at the same time?
I don't know. They both go for heel hooks.
Yes.
And it's just like, what? Like, what is going on here? Because Flynn is like a real martial artist, apparently.
He had the ninja suits on. He's got to be.
Yeah. And like you said, they just keep going for arm breakers and leg locks. Like, that's all that they're going for. And it's just weird. So at one point, they get back up. This is the finishing sequence here because, I mean, this is just your standard Bill Goldberg match. There's really not a lot to talk about with it. I mean, at
this point, he was like, what, 1-0, 2-0, something?
Oh, they're probably 200-0 at this point, to be honest with you. They didn't say.
You couldn't tell by that fucking spear he threw.
Yeah, so the way he threw that spear, I love this. So the finish sequence here, Jerry Flynn throws a TNA kick, Goldberg bounces off the ropes, hits a spear, and then hits a jackhammer, 1, 2, 3.
Poor Jerry, not Lynn.
Jerry Flynn, brother. Jerry Flynn. Yeah, not really a lot to say about that match, other than the fact that Larry Zbyszko refers to him as Wild Bill Goldberg, and I just find that very funny to me.
Seeing Goldberg in the fucking assless chaps and a cowboy hat.
Cowboy Bill Goldberg. Cowboy Bill Goldberg. Back from break, the Nitro girls are dancing in the crowd.
And this broke my heart, brother.
I know. Because I think it broke your heart for the same reason it broke my heart.
Sasha was not with him.
And we all know Sasha's the best of the best. We know this. We've always known this. Yeah, so the Nitro girls are dancing in the crowd, and what's really funny about it is that one of them is dancing right next to this chubby kid that's holding a sign that says "Hogan fears me" with an arrow pointing down.
You thought that was the best part?
That's the best part.
Seeing Kimberly Page almost fall off the damn banister she was setting on while trying to dance.
I didn't even notice that, but
yeah, brother,
I did notice this kid with this fucking sign. It really tickled me. So now it's time for match number 2. We got Black Cat,
which is a generic CAW from New Japan, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And they're like, this guy trained the Great Muta and all this, and I'm just thinking, like, how?
Yeah, here's what I find funny about this is that as Black Cat is coming to the ring, because I don't know who his opponent's going to be.
No.
Yeah, turns out to be friend of the show, Marty Jannetty.
Debut.
Tenay says that this match is going to be a good example of what new talent is coming to WCW. Marty Jannetty.
He's 45 at this age.
He had to be almost. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how old Marty is. MJ in the house. That's all I gotta say. By the way, we have a very funny Marty Jannetty story that I'm pretty sure that we've told on Paid Show. Might have told it on Spot Show. It's one of the most surreal moments in my wrestling career. Yes.
My problem with this match.
Yes.
I just want to throw it out there. Marty Jannetty comes out there wearing generic Leaf Cassidy gear.
Strike one. He was wearing
one.
He was wearing the new Rockers gear.
Yeah, strike one. And then all the moves he used were just stolen HBK moves. Like nothing from his original arsenal other than the Rocker Dropper, which he renamed the Showstopper.
You know what? Chris said that in his notes. He said Marty wins with the Showstopper. Shout out to Sean. I made note of that as well. The fact that the move is called the Showstopper.
And then like halfway through the match, I couldn't help but just laugh thinking I was watching like a fucking Richard Simmons Pilates exercise with the gear both these guys were wearing. I could just picture like my Aunt Dolly wearing this with a big thick headband, jazzercising in the living room to a VCR tape.
Waiting for Mr. Moon. I will say Marty's super kick did look really good in the match, though. He's taking that Shawn Michaels moveset. They exchanged some strikes on the ropes, and what I noticed throughout this entire match is that Black Cat is just being stiff as fuck with Marty.
That New Japan style, brother.
He absolutely is. He also drops Marty square on his fucking head with an Impaler DDT. Square on his head.
Marty got dropped so hard they used it for the Snickers Hungry replay. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, see, Marty Jannetty dropped on his head at that rate and devastation does make me want a Snickers.
And what's funny about it is that Marty won the match. So why are we showing highlights of him getting dropped on his fucking head? Shouldn't it be the other way? I do want to mention that WCW would always do that shit where they would do like the slow-mo highlights of like post-match, and then they would always end with the entrance of the person coming to the ring. Now, unless I just missed it, I don't think they did it with any other matches here tonight. I think they just did it with this first match.
Yeah.
Or the second match, rather. Yeah, Marty over with the Showstopper.
Marty celebration at the end. Why?
Why anything, Marty Jannetty?
I'm going to run the ropes really fast and hit a diving shoulder roll.
So here is the first of many times that this is written in my notes. Back from break, Mean Gene... And then insert, because Mean Gene is always back from break. Mean Gene is still outside. He's waiting for Macho Man. He's waiting for the other limo to arrive.
And here comes DX and Owen Hart.
Here comes DX and Owen Hart. They're beating the shit out of Owen Hart inside the limo. Macho Man arrives with his entourage. And
Elizabeth Scott Hall. And who the hell is this guy?
I don't know, but Scott Hall does not look well.
No.
Does not look well at all. Mean Gene stooges off what Nash said earlier, and Macho Man is livid.
But he doesn't tell him. Like, why? Like, all Nash said was, Macho Man doesn't want anything to do with me.
He's like, Macho Man doesn't want anything to do with me.
And then they're, like, making, like, a big deal, like Nash said that, I'm going to kick Macho Man's ass.
Yeah, Mean Gene's just out here. Yeah,
he's stirring the pot.
He's just stirring the pot for no reason, dude. Dude, and then, like, Macho threatens to slap Mean Gene. Like, he's threatening to beat up Mean Gene Okerlund. Like, what are you doing, Mach? Like, what are we doing?
What we doing here?
What we doing? I remember when the Macho Man, they used to run house shows in the 80s. See what they do? Half the shows, they'd have Macho Man main event one town with the Intercontinental title and have Hogan main event the other town with the WWF title.
And then they'd swap twice on Sundays.
What are we doing?
Dickie.
Madrox.
We go to break.
We go to break.
We come back. And the Iceman cometh.
I would be remiss if I did not mention that Dean Malenko has the best WCW theme.
One of them.
No, it's the best.
One of them.
What's the other one? Tell me.
Oh, dude, Rey Mysterio's goes hard.
Rey Mysterio's was good.
Man, yes, Ravens did go hard.
Yeah, I knew you were going like Raven. I have a funny thing to say about music here later whenever Hogan comes out. By the way, it's Dean Malenko versus Chris Benoit. as always, Benoit disclaimer. We're not honoring him as a human being. He's a piece of shit, but he was good in this match.
I already knew this was going to be good.
Yeah. Oh, you knew it was going to be good right away. But what I want to know is there was a sign in the crowd that was blurred out. Did you notice this?
What did it say?
I don't know.
I didn't notice the blurred out sign.
That's my sign of the night, though.
Just because it was censored.
But if come to find out there was like a racial epithet or
That's not your
something
sign of the night.
anti-Semitic or anything on it, then no. Then in that case, the best match or the best sign of the night is the Hogan Fears Me sign with the chubby kid. The flock is ringside for this match. Raven and his flock. They start off by
wrestling,
by just straight up chain wrestling.
You notice that Benoit had the Lexus King logo on the side of his tights?
He did, actually.
What a fucking mark.
Yeah, he did. So I mentioned it. This is actually the first time during any match, granted we're only on match 3, that the commentary has talked about any other story besides the NWO. They're talking about Benoit's trouble with
Raven.
With Raven right now.
But then halfway through the match, they go back to the NWO story.
Oh, absolutely. Why would they not?
But like, serious note though.
Yeah.
You think about everyone that wrestled with that fucking logo on their gear.
Mm-hmm.
Benoit, Brian Pillman.
Yeah, it's
Steve Mongo. It's the original, the Four Horsemen from '97.
Yeah.
Think about it though. Everyone that's ever wrestled with that logo on their gear had a tragic ending.
Oh.
Maybe Lexus King should not be putting that on his shit.
Oh wow! That's dark.
That is dark though. But like, think about it, dude.
Wow, that symbol could be cursed.
Yes.
Because Flair never wrestled with it.
No.
Did Arn?
No.
Damn. Wow, that's crazy. I never even put 2 and 2 together on that one. That's fucking
That gave
nuts.
me goosebumps when I saw it and started putting it together.
That just gave me goosebumps there, man. That's really weird to think about. But man, I mean, to lighten it up here a little bit, I mean, these two guys are just like, they were so good. Like they were just so good. Like they,
dude, the suplex counter to the reverse suplex to the counter to the fucking German suplex.
I have that down.
Oh my God, chef's kiss.
Yeah, I have that one down specifically in my notes because that is absolutely an incredible sequence. I have it written down here what they do. Malenko hits the ropes. Benoit goes for a front drop kick, big back bump. Malenko works him a little bit, picks him up for a suplex. They then trade positions. Malenko gets in the back, boom, German suplex. Incredible sequence. Malenko goes for a cloverleaf. Benoit rolls him for 2, and then Benoit goes for a crossface out of the backslide. Another great sequence.
This match had everything you wanted in a wrestling match.
You can watch this match and you can see the influence that they would have on future. This match to me felt like it was, I'm not going to, maybe like 5 or 6 years ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, guaranteed.
Because this would have been like a good mid-2000s indies match. Like you would have seen this on a Ring of Honor show.
If this match was longer, I would put it above the Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio Halloween Havoc match.
Ooh, that's a tough one,
just
man.
Based off the sequences we got to see. Like if they had more time, I'm sure they could put that match to shame.
Yeah. So after this sequence, Benoit locks in a crossface. Malenko taps. Or no, did he tap or did the flock get involved?
He tapped.
Okay.
Benoit won clean, and then
the
Raven
flock
came in.
Yeah. So all of the flock, they get in. I believe Raven hits Benoit with the even flow. And then they lay out Malenko. And then Zbyszko has the best call of the night, or as our lovely Patreon backer CT23 puts it, this is his Dickie Wabash ass call of the night.
I hope it's the same one I got down.
Someone pull that eyebrow out of his eyeball.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
He goes, somebody pull that eyebrow out of his eyeball. Earring. Men shouldn't wear earrings in their eyebrow. It's just like Tenay is just trying. He's not even trying to hide his laughter. He is just openly laughing at Larry
Zbyszko
for no reason. Like it was so great. We then now go to Mean Gene And he is standing there with James J. Dillon. They're going over what happened on Thunder. He's breaking down how the NWO is, they're pretty much falling apart right now. They're at war with each other.
I kind of screwed myself because I don't remember this episode at all.
Yeah.
And my note, I put, J.J. Dillon looks like the worst public defense attorney I have ever seen in my life. The way he was standing there and like looking at his fucking nails and flicking boogers.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing. Yeah, Dillon says that the NWO is pretty much falling apart. He says that it's time to bring some law and order. And he fines Macho Man $5,000 for hitting Eric Bischoff. That's a hefty fee. I don't know how I'm going to financially recover from this.
$5,000 in '98 is supposed to seem like a lot of money.
Do me a favor right now, Madrox. Look up the what 5,000 and from '98. Like look up the inflation on what that would be now. So Macho Man comes out and he confronts Dillon. They're just kind of going back and forth with each other. And then Bischoff comes out and he's like, look, I'll pay the fine. I will pay the fine. It's okay, Randy. I will pay the fine. And then Macho Man's just livid. He's just being Macho Man. Have I vamped long enough for you to get a figure? Okay. So in 1998, this fine was for $5,000. If J.J. Dillon did the same fine to Randy Savage today, first of all, it would be a moot point because Macho Man is deceased. But how much would that fine be?
That would be $9,681.13.
No, I'm not going to financially recover from that. I'm telling you.
I need another sponsorship, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to snap into that fine, brother. That's pretty much it. I mean, like these segments go nowhere.
No.
Have you noticed this?
Yes.
These segments.
There's no payoff.
There's no payoff to any of them because they are just insisting and they insist on themselves and they just pile on. And I know that they're going for this big overarching story, but it's just like, dude, these are so fucking bad. Like, my God.
But anyway, we go to a break.
We go to break, and then guess what we come back to?
Mean Gene.
Mean Gene is in the ring.
And I'm going to tell you in advance, I spent more time than I should have giggling at this fucking segment because I popped myself.
Please.
Than anything else.
Please.
We got DDP in the ring. Good God.
So over.
So over.
So over, dude.
And DDP just goes, I'm jacked up in Jacksonville and I feel great.
I put that down too because he gets in the ring because so Mean Gene asks him he gets his opinion on like what's going on lately, and then DDP just goes, good God, and looks around at the reaction, and then he just fucks off the question, and then Mean Gene asks him another question, and then he's like, I'm jacked in Jacksonville.
Here's what I popped myself with.
Yeah.
A picture, if you will. 1998, January, whatever date. 12th. Monday Night Nitro. A young Tony Khan in the audience sitting on his papa's lap. Hearing DDP say, I'm jacked in Jacksonville. Tony Khan immediately thinks, he's on cocaine. We have DDP in that one sentence to thank for the creation of AEW.
Ooh. Man, I never thought of it that way.
It changed his life forever, brother.
It really did. It really did. So DDP goes on to then say that life is all about timing. He said, and they booked a match on Thunder, and it's with his good brah, Lex Luger. Him and Lex Luger, who again is good brah.
I want to know what his bad bra is.
Yeah, they're going to be facing off against Kevin Nash and Randy Savage.
Wait, they hate each other.
Oh, exactly. Mean Gene says that. He says they're not on the best of terms, and DDP says, I thought they were for life. Then again, I thought Liz and Randy were for life.
A little behind the curtain. You can't say that.
Mean Gene just openly laughs again and then says, you can't say that on TV. Oh, that's
I want to know
great.
if you caught this.
I probably did because I loved this segment.
DDP standing there looking hard in the camera, okay, as they're wrapping up.
Yep.
You hear a fan scream at the top of their lungs. Screaming, fat fuck with the sign, sit down.
I heard it. I'm glad that you heard it too.
That was so fucking
I'm glad
great.
that you heard it too. DDP then goes on to say, Nash, Randy, I'm going to give you a weather forecast. It's going to be very stormy. The thunderclouds are rolling in. Luger is going to make them feel the crackle, and DDP is going to make them feel the bang. Terrible. But the problem, not even the problem, the solution here is so corny. Everything that he said in this promo was corny as fuck. DDP was so goddamn over, though. That's what made it so good, is that it didn't matter what the fuck he said. He could have been out there and done patty cake, and people would have fucking ate it up.
So what you're saying is DDP is like the question to Jey Uso.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Because all DDP was, he was a gimmick.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with being just a gimmick.
No.
But it's, can you perform in the ring? And DDP could perform in the ring.
I just wanted to save our asses a little bit so the internet wrestling community doesn't come after you hating on Jey Uso all the time.
Hey, I calls it like I sees it, is all I'm saying there. Yeah, so then they go to break and we come back for our next match. But before we get into that, let's hear a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling. We all love live entertainment, right? We all love live wrestling, right? Well, what if I told you that there is a place that combines the entertainment and the wrestling live that we all love? Look no further than Elite Pro Wrestling. Whether it's in person in Odin, Indiana, or Washington, Indiana, or if you check them out on YouTube, Elite Pro Wrestling guarantees a quality show that allows them to live up to the name Elite. If you're feeling generous, go ahead and check them out on Patreon as well. If you back them, you're going to get early access to all of their shows before they hit YouTube. Again, check out EliteProfessionalWrestling.com. This episode is brought to you by Venom Energy. Hey, we've all been there, and there's nothing wrong with admitting to it. Well, what I mean is that we've all hit that midday slump, and we all need a little push to get us through the rest of the day. Well, what better option to give you a pick-me-up than one of the wonderful flavors of Venom Energy? Venom is what gets MadBash through those long show days, and we know that it can do the same for you. I'm going to sweeten the pot a little bit for you, too. Yeah, come to our merch table when you see us at a show, and with the purchase of a MadBash Wrestling sticker or magnet, you get a Venom Energy drink on us. While supplies last, of course, so you better act quick. We'd like to thank Venom again for sponsoring this episode. Please consume responsibly. Not recommended for children under 18, pregnant or nursing women, or people sensitive to caffeine. Perry Saturn, or just Saturn at this time, versus with hair, which is very off-putting.
Yes,
very off-putting. Saturn's coming to the ring. He's going to be facing off against Booker T for the TV title. The Flock is banned from ringside.
Speaking of Booker T,
yeah,
totally not on this episode, but do you remember when Booker T was going through that gear metamorphosis where he was trying to find his own way?
It's funny that you mentioned gear because I have a point. Go on.
Where he basically had the Shinsuke Nakamura look, the red tights with the matching red singlet that had the whole U-shaped cut out the front.
Yep.
I wish that Booker T was on this episode.
Dude, I just want to say this Harlem Heat gear is top 5 gear.
Yeah.
Of all time. Of all time. And that brings me into what we're going to talk about on Podski.
Gear?
Best wrestling gear.
Ooh.
Best wrestling gear. I've had that thought. So, yeah, bell rings. Commentary is just still focusing on the NWO. That's all they're talking about.
Which is disgusting because Saturn's out there putting on a fucking clinic.
Yeah, he fucking hooks Booker in this pump handle and does an overhead throw. Disgusting looking. He just fucking manhandles Booker.
Yeah.
And Booker is not a small guy.
Not at all.
Very big guy. Like people, like Booker T is deceivingly big.
Booker, like in this match, looked twice the size of Saturn.
Yeah.
Like height-wise.
Yeah, Saturn's not a big guy, but I mean, Booker is he's always been like that.
Saturn was Taz before it was cool.
Yeah. Well, no, Taz would have already, because this was 98. Taz was already Taz.
No, I'm just saying. Before Taz even started the whole human suplex machine shit.
When did he? Hang on. No, that was 97.
Well, either way, Saturn was Taz before Taz was cool.
No, I disagree with that.
I don't.
Boy, you have the concept of a concept, but you
Taz is still an ECW at this point, so fuck him.
Fair.
Before Taz was cool.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, this match was pretty solid. This was
Don't
a pretty
fight me,
good.
Taz. I'm just playing. I'm just making jokes, buddy.
This was a pretty solid back and forth match, and here's how I know that this issue with the NWO is so true. In his notes, Chris points out the same thing. He says announcers are just talking about the NWO. That's all they're talking about.
And they don't like change the story or anything or make it exciting. It's just a recap of what they said 30 seconds ago.
That's all it is. They're just rehashing all this bullshit.
Saturn actually wins though.
Yeah, Saturn goes over with a dirty pin. But then for some reason, here comes Rick Martel. And he tells the ref about it, and then the match is restarted. And then
Booker wins.
Here's my favorite part about it. As soon as the match restarts, Saturn rolls Booker up, and the ref is just looking at him, holding the belt, and then walks over and hands the announcer the belt, then gets down to count the pin, but at that point, Saturn says, fuck it, and gets up, and then rolls him up in another pin.
Saturn was at a 10 count at this point.
Yes!
Like, this was a decent match, but, like, fuck you, Rick Martel and your Bugle Boy Polo.
Yeah,
like
100%. Booker gets on top, goes up, he hits the Harlem Hangover for the win. One of the most underrated moves of all time.
Yeah.
I love the Harlem Hangover or the Houston Hangover, whatever you want.
After the match, like, you're like, why's Rick Martel got authority to get this match restarted? And then come to find out the only authority he has is he wants to challenge Booker T for the title the next week.
Yeah, that's all it is. He's like, listen,
I can't beat Saturn, but I think I got a chance at you.
Yeah, Rick Martel, you know what I mean? Sorry, Book, but... So then we cut to the ring, and guess who's there? Mean Woo! By God, Gene. Which, I want to say this too. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene is nowhere near as good as Mean Woo by God Gene. Flair's introduction with Mean Gene is better than Hogan's.
Yes.
That's all I got to say.
Nonetheless, like, why is Mean Gene getting all these segments? It's not like he's mood in the 2000s.
Yeah, where's his lamp? That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people, this goes back to what we talked about with the Netflix on Raw review. People were complaining about how there wasn't a lot of wrestling, how it used to be. My brother in Christ,
Go back and watch it.
The majority of the 2 episodes that we have watched from this day, promos.
Limos.
And limos, of course. How could we forget? Mean Gene is in the ring, and then he calls to the ring an attorney or he's like a something for WCW.
The Giant with who, what, and why.
With the Giant, and the Giant is apparently 7'4" now. His name is Lambrose. He's like an attorney for he's not an attorney, but he's like a higher up.
He's like the French Dean Ambrose.
Yes, exactly. He gets in the ring, and who boy is he a black hole of charisma.
Dude, Josh Steele at a promo.
I was going to make a Josh Steele reference. He states that the NWO need to, because apparently what happened at the previous pay-per-view, and I do remember this, Kevin Nash no-showed the event and didn't have his match with the Giant. So the Giant really wants to have this match. So Lambrose comes out, and he says that, they're having this rematch coming up here at Sold Out, and the NWO needs to put up $1.5 million as an insurance bond to be sure that Nash wrestles the Giant at Sold Out. And if he doesn't, Nash will be suspended for 1 year. Michael Madrox, if you can do me a favor, why don't you look up, based on inflation, what 1.5 million from 98 would be in 2025. Then cuts to Eric Bischoff, he then cuts Eric Bischoff off from all the Time Warner and WCW money. He basically says that, listen, Bischoff has been running amok. He's been doing all this. So we're cutting him off. He no longer has Turner money.
Just under $2 million today.
Just under $2 million. So then here come the NWO. It's Nash, Hogan, Bischoff, and Henry Holmes. And they are making a huge deal about this Henry Holmes, whoever the fuck that is.
Attorney for the celebrities.
They state that. They state that. Here's what's funny, though. He gets in the ring and Henry Holmes starts talking, and Mean Gene and Bischoff both have to guide him to the hard cam.
Okay. Okay. Even after guiding everyone in the ring to the hard cam, they still stand sideways and fucking Mr. Q. Mean Gene has to go, guys, the hard cam's over here. No one fucking bats an eye.
Here's another funny thing about Mean Gene, too, is that he's having conversations with Tony Schiavone. He can hear Tony Schiavone, but the crowd can't hear Tony Schiavone.
Yeah.
But Mean Gene is talking to Tony through the house mic. So he's having like these one-way conversations with Tony Schiavone, and it's fucking great.
Oh, well, this is going on. They're burying J.J. Dillon and fucking Macho Man for their measly $5,000 fine. Like, that's a big deal when now they're throwing out fucking $3 million.
So Henry Holmes says that that the 1.5 mil is no big deal, but there's a catch. He says they are going to require that WCW and the Giant match the 1.5 million, and the Giant cannot touch Nash or Hogan. And then Hogan grabs the mic because apparently he's not gotten enough attention and says, "In other words, you're covered, brah." People love to say "brah" during this. This segment is so bad.
This is the worst Judge Judy episode I've ever seen in my life at this point.
It's so pointless. So then Giant agrees to it, and then the second that he agrees to it, Nash gets in his face and is like trying to goat him on, but like
all it does is make Giant break character and start giggling.
No, that wasn't even necessarily that he was breaking character, but it still made no sense because the whole point, because they've done this angle before where it's like, look, you can't touch this wrestler, so they antagonize him, they get in their face, whatever. But Giant's just laughing because he's like, bro, do what you got to do. I'm still going to fuck you up. It's sold out.
But is it sold out where Nash dropped Giant on his head and broke his neck, though?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
So who really won that segment?
Yeah. So then we go back to commentary, and Tony Schiavone, Tony Schiavone feels the need to recap everything that we just saw.
Imagine a storyline going so bad in the fucking ring, you need your commentary crew for 5 minutes to try to rebuttal and recap everything they just witnessed.
Yeah.
That's basically all this segment was.
Yeah.
They weren't looking at the hard cam, so let us make eye contact with you and tell you everything that's going on.
Yeah. Back to these notes here. Chris had this to say, which I think is really funny. He said, Bischoff acts like the attorney came up with the greatest idea of all time. And he did. Because whenever he said that, he's like selling it like it's the greatest. Like, we beat you. It's like it reminds me of, the jerk store called and they're running out of you from fucking Seinfeld. It's just like, it's the definition of you can't fire me, I quit. It's like, yeah, but you're already fired. Like, what are you getting so excited about, my guy? Yeah, so then he feels the need to he being Tony Schiavone, just feels the need to run down everything that just happened. Because like you said, that segment was just so boring and monotonous that they just had to reiterate it for everyone because why not? Another Larry chant is going on here, and Larry Zbyszko is just turning around, pandering to the crowd again, as he's wont to do.
The whole time while they're trying to clear up this story, Larry's just screaming, "Get that sign away from the guy that says I fear Hall."
Yeah, he did do that. Yeah, he did do that. I forgot about that. Larry Zbyszko was just so great. We then get a random black and white highlight package reiterating a feud with Luger and Macho Man. So here's where I had to kind of stop for a minute here. There are so many different stories going on here. Macho Man alone is involved in 3 separate stories.
Muda.
Saying.
He loves lap.
So now, by the way, this is the start of the second hour. So Bobby the Brain Heenan's going to be coming out. Hugh Morris versus Lex Luger. And as Hugh Morris is coming to the ring, he looks at the camera and says, "Hour 2, start off with Hugh."
And just starts cackling.
Cackling, brother.
Cackling. Take the boot.
Starts off with some chain wrestling. They run the International, and Hugh hits a spinning heel kick, and Luger just straight up no-sells it.
I forgot during this time period.
Yeah.
Luger said it plenty of times. When you're a face, you wear white boots.
Oh, yeah.
So take that to heart, Willie.
White boot Willie. Yeah, so then they run the International again, and then Luger hits a power slam. Hugh Morris then no-sells that. This is a pretty back-and-forth match. I mean, there's really...
It wasn't really a squash like I was anticipating.
No, it was really good, though. It was solid.
This reminds me of Big Dog Roman, where everyone had to make Luger look strong, though.
That's essentially, yeah. Luger was definitely the type of guy that... How do I word this? They always tried with Luger, no matter where he was. No matter what company, they always tried with Luger. And I don't necessarily know what the issue was, but I mean, Luger was over, but he was just...
He was
I don't know.
babyface generic to me.
There's a video that I saw on TikTok. I think it was TikTok. It was somewhere. Where it was talking about one of the reasons that Luger's 94 push didn't really work out is that he was kind of malcontent of where he didn't want to go to these signings. He didn't want to greet the fans. He didn't want to do any of this. He was just...
I feel like Luger's thing was pro wrestling was just his meal ticket, but he was more into the bodybuilding.
I feel that.
Like that was his one true passion.
I definitely agree with that. I will agree with you on that. So Luger goes over with the torture rack, and here comes Miss Elizabeth.
Save me, Lex.
She's pleading. Yeah, she's like begging Luger to save her. And it's
He's
like,
lost his mind.
It's like, what is going on here? But here's the trick. She distracts Lex Luger so that Savage can Pearl Harbor him. They both start beating up Lex Luger. They
he
both
holds her
like
while Elizabeth slaps him.
Elizabeth slaps him. Absolutely. Now, were they dating at this point?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, because
she wasn't with Savage at all during.
No,
WCW.
she wasn't with. I did know that because DDP told me about that one, brah. But I know that Luger and Elizabeth ended up at some point, but I didn't know when.
I think it was later. When
This
he
could
was
have been the
doing
start
his
of
Lexi Plexi phase.
Maybe. No, they were definitely together. Because they talked about it in Beyond the Mat, or not Beyond the Mat, in Dark Side of the Ring.
Yep.
This is when she came into WCW, she was with Lex Luger.
Okay.
That's what it was, I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong on that.
DDP makes the save.
DDP comes out and makes the save.
Or does he? Because DDP's down over an injured Lex Luger after a bitch slap to the face.
Yeah.
And a fan reaches over the guardrail and rips his fucking hat off his head.
Yes!
And Paige instantly gets pissed.
Oh, why would he not? Why would he not? We then cut to break. We come back and the Nitro Girls are in the ring.
Still no Sasha.
Still no Sasha. And Tony Schiavone is running down the upcoming dates for Nitro.
Fort Wayne, Indiana, baby.
I heard Fort Wayne was on there. We're going to have to get tickets. They then start plugging the Nitro Party. You remember the Nitro Party?
I do remember the Nitro
Party. I wanted
parties.
to do the Nitro Party so bad. We had a camcorder, but for some reason my mom and dad wouldn't let me do it. They wouldn't let me film our Nitro Party. I don't know why. So then commentary breaks down what's been going on with the Steiner brothers. They're clearly building up to the Scott Steiner heel turn. I think that's actually pretty soon. I will say this, though, because they're doing this whole thing of where Scott is like jealous of Rick. And like
Scott wants the spotlight.
Scott wants the spotlight, and Rick is going up for his bulldog, but Steiner picks whoever they were wrestling up, sits him on the top rope, hits the Frankensteiner 1, 2, 3. And I will say during this flashback, Jesus, Scott Steiner, if you squint, looks like Braun Breaker.
Yes.
That's the most that I have seen one of them look like Braun Breaker.
Well, have you seen Scott's real son?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks just like his dad.
Dude, those Steiner genes are thick. They're
going to take over the tag division.
Oh my God. Imagine. Dude, imagine. God, the Steiner cousins.
Yup.
My Lord, that's how you if you put Braun Breaker with his cousin Scott's son, that's what the Creed brothers are supposed to be.
Yes. Fuck the Creed brothers.
You do not like the Creed brothers,
I
do
don't.
You? So now
we get
go.
Chris Jericho from the future.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I was watching Y2J on WCW Nitro,
That's
man.
what I'm saying. They network dubbed his WWE theme, and it's like brother's a time traveler. It's him versus Mongo. Never mind that shit. Here comes Mongo. While Mongo is coming to the ring,
Mongo's over though.
He's very over.
Mongo is already a WWE fucking WrestleMania main eventer at this point.
Yeah,
Like
people
most
forget
people,
about that.
Yes.
They network dubbed over Jericho's theme, as we said. That was really fucking weird. As it's either as Jericho or Mongo is coming to the ring. Mike Tenay's talking about how he is going to be signing autographs with the Giant, and Bobby Heenan says people want your autograph. Which it's time for a little tangent here, Michael Madrox.
Okay.
Bobby Heenan autographs.
FYE.
It was KB Toys.
It was FYE.
It was. I'm pretty sure it was KB Toys.
It was FYE.
Okay. Michael
I went.
Madrox knows exactly what I'm talking about here. 96, 97, probably.
I was going to say, yeah,
To
97,
promote-
98.
To promote, it was not 98 for sure. It was to promote WCW and nWo World Tour. Bobby Heenan did a meet and greet at our local mall.
Mm-hmm.
You were there. You were there with your brother.
Yep.
I was there. I was there with my brother. My brother was the one that took me. Bobby Heenan was the biggest fucking asshole at this signing. Just a dick. Just not personable with anyone. An absolute asshole. Was that your experience as well?
I got rushed to the line because as I was getting my autographs, he was trying to do the local weather with Kevin Orpert.
Shout out to Kevin Orpert. 2 references with Kevin Orpert. Or two episodes. Dude, he was an asshole. He was an absolute asshole. My brother, if I could confirm that he would back me up on this, I would call him right now and say, hey, do you remember when we met Bobby Heenan, how big of an asshole he was?
But on a lighter note,
yeah,
Jericho's fucking Scar Statue of Liberty gear, hard.
Oh, so good. So good. Starts off with Mongo overpowering Jericho, but Jericho comes off at one point with a missile drop kick. Mongo gets back on top, goes to the corner and taunts with the 4 Horsemen 4. Jericho cuts him off, and then with a drop kick. Like Mongo is on the middle rope. Jericho hits a drop kick
to the midsection.
To the midsection, and then hits him with a Frankensteiner. So that's 2 Frankensteiners that we've seen in like 10 minutes.
Yes.
Jericho works the leg a little bit. But here's my takeaway from this match. Whose bright idea was it for Steve Mongo McMichael to do the tombstone fucking pile driver?
It was the spike driver, brother.
Because it looked so unsafe. God damn it.
It was basically a power slam dropping to your knees. Let's call it what it is.
Dude, how he didn't break anyone's neck with this, I don't know. Because
That's just because Mongo was so good. I hate to be that guy, but this is the match where Vince McMahon saw the tape of Jericho working and was like, this kid's got it.
For real?
Yeah, dude. Like the Bret Hart lost tape with the other guy that was supposed to be more popular.
Are you doing a bit or
no,
are you
dude, this
serious?
is like legit. Vince saw this match and thought Jericho carried Mongo, but in fact, Mongo carried Jericho. Like history could have been fucking
okay,
different
so
right here.
there's the bit that you're doing is where, but did Vince really see this?
I doubt it.
Okay, I was trying to figure out if you were doing a bit or not. I knew right away. Yeah, so Jericho takes the most unsafe spike pile driver I've ever seen.
But you got to give Mongo fucking shout outs. Like, how many matches on Mongo's could you watch where his hair tie did not come out? Like, not many long-haired wrestlers can say that.
I will say he is one of the few long-haired wrestlers I've ever seen where their hair tie did not come out.
So shout out to the GOAT.
I will give him that. He is the GOAT in that regard. We come back from break and Jericho is in the ring throwing a fit. And this is what's really cool about this. This is when Jericho's doing the role model character.
Yes.
And he's at break. So he's talking down the crowd saying, I'm a fool for being a role model for everyone. Then he turns around and sees that we're live.
Yeah, he sees the red light and he's like, yay.
And then his tone changes and he starts being like all happy. And this era of Jericho, like, because we're getting ready to get into the conspiracy victim stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
Goated.
This is the best era of Jericho. This and Suit Jericho,
yes,
are the two best Jerichos. This era, I would say Le Champion Chris Jericho was pretty solid too. No. I would put the best Jericho is Suit Jericho. Then after that, I would put List Jericho, and then I would put Lionheart Chris Jericho for sure. So Jericho's talking, and then Rey Mysterio cuts him off.
Rey Mysterio Jr. There's
My fault. Jericho asks him what he's doing here, and Rey says, I'm just trying to defend the Cruiserweight title. He's not even champion.
No.
Jericho says, well, I wish you luck, and then just starts beating him up. Jericho hits him with two backbreakers. One of them is a double underhook backbreaker. And then he locks him in the Lion Tamer. And then Hoovy Juice, which is, of course, Juventud Guerrera. Not Guerrera. People always fuck that up.
Third cousins of the Guerreros.
Hoovy comes out to make the save, but
he doesn't make the save. He just walks out nonchalant.
That's what I'm saying is so funny about it. Is they make it seem like that he's going to be making the save, but he's not. It's just Rey is just in agony in the Lion Tamer, and Hoovy is just slowly making his way to the ring.
And he gets in the ring, looks at Jericho, and Jericho's like, "Sup, brah?"
Yeah, sup, brah. And then he leaves.
Hoovy wants to start the match. The ref says, no, he's injured. I can't start this match. So Hoovy proceeds to start kicking Jericho, and the ref looks at him like, I guess I'll start the match now.
Rey. You mean Rey. Yeah, that's exactly what I put too, is that Little Nate is the ref for this, and he's just like, can't start it. Rey's too hurt. Okay. Boom, boom. Okay, ring the bell. It's just like, what are we doing?
WCW booking.
They didn't even do a thing of where Rey was like, I can do it. I have this match.
No fighting spirit.
No fighting spirit at all. Just Hoovy just fucking up Rey Mysterio. Rey gets a little bit of a comeback, but not much. Hoovy.
This made no sense to me because before this, there was a video package of Hoovy winning from
Ultimo Dragon,
which made it seem like Hoovy was the babyface.
I guess this is a heel turn.
No sense. No sense at all.
I guess this is a heel turn. Who's to say? Hoovy then hits a tombstone of his own and then goes up for a 450 for the win. Why are we doing so many tombstones and Frankensteiners here?
You gotta get your shit over, brother.
Yeah, but everyone's getting their own thing over. Like they're all doing it on their own.
You gotta get the higher card talent over.
Exactly. They then recap Sting being stripped of the title, which we talked about that at the top of this. I think that is a really underrated moment in terms of WCW booking and storytelling.
At this moment, though, I realized that J.J. Dillon looks just like Drew Carey.
Yeah.
So I refer to him for the rest of the show as Drew Dillon.
Drew Dillon, brother. Let's go. Let's go. D.D. Dillon. So after they do that, Hogan is making his way to the ring with Bischoff. I forget that during this era of Nitro, these Hogan Bischoff
they need their
promos,
camera time, brother.
They happened all the time. And my theory with that is that Eric Bischoff had the rights to Voodoo Child, so he was going to use it to his advantage.
Yeah.
But here's what's funny. The network dub. It's just the normal NWO theme, but this is very clearly Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix, but Hogan is still pantomiming Voodoo Child. Chop it down with the edge of my hand.
This is where my sign of the night came from.
Oh, sign of the night.
Generic redneck in the crowd, holding up a giant sign. NWO. NWO is normally lowercase n, capital W.
I noticed this one, yeah.
O. This one is capital N, capital W, lowercase o. And then all it says underneath it is smelly stinks. Sign of the night.
Sign of the night, brother.
And I also realized during this segment, Hogan at this point is just your dad in a midlife crisis mode.
That's all Hollywood Hogan was.
All he was.
That's all Hollywood Hogan was. He says brah again, by the way, which everyone's saying brah. I don't
like
understand
if it was in this day and age, like Hogan would be out there, be like Skibbity Riz, Ohio, son. Like, you know what I mean?
Skibbity toilet, brother. Yeah, dude. Let me tell you about brain rot, brother. So
Cringe, son.
Hogan gets the mic and he says that everyone needs to realize, dude, that when you're in the NWO, everything is pre-planned. Larry Holmes is here to rectify the wrong. And then, sorry, I was still talking in the Hogan voice, but this wasn't a Hogan quote. He then starts talking about how Sting, he's not the true world champion. He's the true world champion. And he's saying that Larry Holmes is going to be in federal court tomorrow, dude. And he's going to take WCW for everything. And while I'm at it, I'm going to sue Stone Cold Steve Austin, Jack, because he stole the shirt rip from me, brother. And that's very clearly my gimmick infringement.
At this point, Eric Bischoff trying to wrap the scene up because the music's already playing. Goes, Hawkster, tell that fan to sit down and shut up. Hogan looks dead ass in the hard cam.
Leave the mask on, because when you take it off, brother,
Yes!
that's a scary thought.
That's a scary thought, dude. It's just you're fucking ugly. Fuck you, asshole.
He had nothing to fucking come up with the top of his head. Just,
Brother, that's a scary thought.
Brother, you fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down, Jack. How? Just like Hogan
nice coming off the top of your fucking head, Hogan.
Hogan fucked up the most basic heat. That reminds me one time. I'm not going to say who the wrestler is, but he was getting heat on the crowd, and he looked at someone wearing a Colts jersey, and he goes, "Wearing a Colts jersey, huh? That's cool." This guy's walking like, how you fucked it up. All you got to do, Colts, huh? Oh, yeah, they fucking suck. They blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
It's just like, yeah, Hogan is just grasping at straws here, trying to figure out exactly what is going on.
I even dated that quote so we can save and get it tattooed eventually.
Oh, please do.
1/12/1998, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, my God. So then we go to break, and guess what we come back to?
Mean Gene, baby.
Mean Gene, baby. He's in the entranceway.
With a debut.
The debuting Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who is here to suck Bret Hart's dick, apparently.
This promo is worse than a late night trip to CBS with Jim Neidhart.
Oh, my God.
Did you catch that reference?
I did catch that reference, yeah. Jim Neidhart says that he's been sitting at home watching TV, as he stumbles his way through this promo, mind you. Yeah, I've been sitting at home watching TV last week, and something upset me. Comment made by Ric Flair last week made me sick, and stumbles his way through the rest of it, talking about how Flair is not a better wrestler than Bret Hart.
My fucking favorite thing about this, you got Mean Gene out there. You got Jim the Anvil out there. You got Ric Flair out there. The Anvil goes, WCW is home of the young guns.
Yes.
And everyone out there is like 60.
Yeah. So Flair comes out. He says, "Welcome to WCW." He says, "The Neidhart is one of the baddest men in the world. I've run all up and down the roads with you, Jim."
Which is not true.
It's not true. He says, "If you're going to stand out here just because you're married to Bret's sister and say that he's the best wrestler, you got to say it to my face.
Take your thumb off of it."
So then Neidhart just looks at Flair and says, "Bret Hart's a better wrestler." And then Flair just loses his mind, and he's like, they just start like puffing up to each other. Neidhart,
You want a match?
You want a match? You want a match?
You want a match? Right now.
No match right now. No match right now. Neidhart takes off his, which by the way, Neidhart here is wearing, I shit you not, a leather jacket with no shirt and sweatpants.
Classic Neidhart, baby.
the best.
He's only missing the fanny pack.
It's the best. Yeah, he literally looks like he just pulled up to the building, and they were like he
He had a
was
rough
like,
night at CBS, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he
Allegedly.
It's like he was fucking. It's like he was fucking wearing a trademarked shirt, and they just took it off, and put the jacket back on.
He had an Austin shirt on.
Oh my god, I love it. So, Flair. I'm going to tell you what I think happened here, because this is really weird. So Flair says, "Let's have a match right now, but hang on, I'm going to go to the back." So then Neidhart just starts walking to the ring, and Flair just fucking goes to the back. And then on commentary, everyone is just like trying to figure out why.
Did he go put his gear on?
Yeah, did he go put his gear on? Did he do this? Did he do that? So then Flair comes back out, and then he just fucking hits Neidhart with this gimmick that is very clearly
just tape.
A tube of tape, because I know, because I've used that exact same gimmick before. Matt Cage, it was Matt Cage versus Josh Steele. We used the exact same
It's the
gimmick.
generic brass knucks when you can't afford them or the state doesn't allow them.
Yes, that's all it was. So then Flair just punches him with him, and then it just immediately here comes the ref. Oh no, hang on. Yeah, sorry, my notes. I fucked up my notes here. Oh yeah. So Flair goes back, gets the fucking. Comes back out, hits Neidhart with the I just completely went off the rails and lost where I was. So that's what was happening, guys. I think I just had a fucking stroke. So then Flair just fucking hits him with the gimmick, and then he keeps beating him down, and then he just hits Billy Silverman with it too. And it's like, why did you feel the need to hit the referee? So then Flair drags Neidhart over to the ring post, and he tries to do the post
figure four and completely gets fucking lost on how to do it.
He doesn't know how to do it, and Neidhart has to walk him through how to do it. And then he's got it locked in for a pretty good amount of time.
My favorite part about this is even Marty Jannetty won his debut. What the fuck is Neidhart out here doing?
Oh my God. What I don't understand about it is that they essentially... Because Neidhart's not a bad worker.
No.
They brought him out here just to be a fucking yes man for Bret Hart.
Which they brought Bret Hart out to be a yes man for Hogan.
Yes. Just nonsensical bullshit. So yeah, like Flair has got him locked in that for a pretty substantial amount of time. And then here comes Bret Hart, and he chases him off. He makes the save. And that's pretty much all there is to say about that segment, because they're leading up to a match at... They're at Sold Out, right? It's going to be Flair and Bret Hart. It's either Thunder or Sold Out, and I'm pretty sure it's Sold Out. I can't remember. I forgot to write that down. So, I'm going to give that segment. That's my -7 of the night.
I'm saving mine till the end, like we normally do.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes I like to throw it in when it happens, because I have two things that are my -7 of the night, and right now this is probably going to be my -7 of the night. So here's my theory about what happened. They get out there, and Flair was of course wearing his blazer.
Yes,
I think the gimmick was supposed to be in the blazer,
and he forgot it.
But he forgot it, so he had to call the audible and go to the back. No, hang on now. So then now we cut to break, and we come back, and there stands Michael Buffer. God damn it, is he so good.
Whoa. You're skipping over 3 segments, sir.
What's the 3 segments?
The Nash and Giant video package.
Oh, God.
And more Nitro girls, but no Sasha still.
Yeah, no Sasha. Sasha's the best of the best.
I got her poster on my wall.
Yeah. Which is it? This one?
No, it's
or
this
one. That's a good one. Steiners versus the Outsiders. Here's what's great about Michael Buffer. His intros. Like, granted, he's got the voice and he's great, but it's like the way that he builds it up. Like, coming to the ring now. He is a man who completed this task. He is the master of the Outsider's Edge.
No,
like
dude. This ring announcer's got nothing on Jeremy, and all this ring announcer did was steal the Triple H DX fucking intro.
Now that you say it, fuck him.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
So Hogan's coming to the ring with the Outsiders. Trust me, that's going to come into play later.
You don't say.
The Outsiders get in the ring and they do the survey. They, being Scott Hall, does the survey, but it really fails because he goes, "Did you come here to see WCW?"
And the crowd explodes.
Crowd explodes. "Did you come here to see the NWO?" And they boo, but he still does. The survey says one more for the good guys.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, we're a year and a half away from when this segment would actually work for you. Like, because back in the day, whenever the NWO was like first starting, like that segment, every time they were there to see the NWO.
I have a big question with this.
What's up?
All this music's getting dubbed over, but we get the fucking Steiner Line song, brother.
Oh, I love it. I love it. As the match starts, Tony says that this is a dream match, and there have been tons of letters from fans requesting this match.
I was one of them.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Could have been, though.
Could have been. I could have won the fucking Nitro
a
party.
little Michael Madrox little hidden tidbit.
Yeah.
You remember when the Juggernauts were around?
Yeah, of course.
The
I
mixed
managed
match
you.
boots are the mixed match kick pads. That was a tribute to the Steiners. Not many people knew that. Not even my own tag partner.
I think you just made that up.
No, for real.
Hell yeah. Pre-Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner is just weird to me.
You want to talk about fucking weird, the way this match was placed.
Yeah, it was structured really weird. So
why is Kevin Nash taking the shine?
I don't know.
And bumping him feet like a jobber.
Because here's why. Scott Hall is selling his fucking ass off. Like, Scott Hall is the best part of this match.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Scott Hall is just like bumping his ass off for Scott Steiner. Nash comes in and then they double team him just effortlessly. They pick this motherfucker up and bump him in a way that it's like, why is Kevin Nash doing that bump? Nash powders and they get down and do the Steiner taunt where Rick crawls between Scott's legs and he's like holding him back like he's a rabid dog. Then here comes Macho Man. And Hogan is between Savage and Nash on the outside. And then
blocking the hard cam.
Yeah, blocking the hard cam. Rick tags in. Him and Scott Hall then work each other in the corner. Then Nash tags in. Nash does the trademark Kevin Nash hip attack, back forearm on Rick. And for some reason, my notes auto-corrected Rick to Rock every single time I typed it. He then shoots.
It's time we do more WWF and WCW.
Yeah, he then shoots Rick into the opposite corner, and he eats a boot, and Rick comes off with a Steiner line, which again, it's like Kevin Nash is the one bumping for all of this. Like, don't get me wrong though. Whenever Scott Hall was bumping his ass off too, they're both actually being very giving to the Steiners. Like,
for anyone that says the Outsiders weren't there to do business with anyone, go watch this fucking match.
Go watch this match. Yeah, go watch this match.
I love how they brought back the Goldberg Flynn spot, but they made sure it was done properly in this match.
Yes, absolutely. They 100% did try to make sure. Rick hits a power slam on Nash, and then Scott Hall runs in. He gets hit. He then tags in Scott. And I got to say, the best chemistry in this entire match, though, is between the two Scotts.
Yeah.
Like, I think the best chemistry is between Scott Hall and Scott Steiner. Hall hits a choke slam, which I love the Scott Hall choke slam.
Mm-hmm.
Love the Scott Hall chokeslam. Then he gets up and does the Frankenstein monster taunt for the Giant because, again, Frankenstein is the doctor. Frankenstein's monster is the monster. We need to remember that. So anyway, he's doing the Frankenstein's monster taunt, and then wait, I lost my notes. Oh yeah, sorry. Steiner comes in, Scott Steiner comes in as he's doing this taunt, and he hits him with an overhead belly to belly that looks fucking beautiful.
At this point, though, have you noticed one thing about Scott Hall during this whole match?
Probably.
He's wrestled this whole match with a toothpick stuck in his hair from where Steiner threw it at him at the beginning of the match.
Yes, I did notice that. Yes.
The whole match, baby.
Whole match.
That's dedication.
Towards the end of the match, Rick goes for the Bulldog, but Hogan crotches him on the top. Scott goes to the outside and then gets into it with Hogan. They're kind of going back and forth with
shoving each other.
Just shoving each other.
And the ref does not throw Hogan out.
And that should have been a disqualification. Hall gets in the ring and then takes control. As Scott is inadvertently distracting the referee, the Outsiders go for a double team on Rick, but Rick ducks and Nash hits Hall with the ref. So the ref hits Hall. So now the ref is down. Macho Man comes off the top with an elbow as Nash is going for a pin. So then it's the whole thing of like, is Macho Man going for the elbow on Nash? Is he going for it on Rick? Is he who's he going for it on? Nash moves, the elbow drop hits Rick, and
Savage
then
looks pissed.
Savage looks pissed, and then the Outsiders go for the dog pile pin, and they win the tag titles. So, what a weird finish.
It's classic WCW ending.
Yeah.
More questions than answers.
Yeah. Because the Outsiders just won the tag titles, thanks to Macho Man.
But Nash is fighting with Macho Man on the outside.
And then we just cut the show.
Cut the show.
Show's over. What'd you think, Michael Madrox?
I'm going to break down my reviews right now, Dickie Wabash. First off, what the fuck, Dickie? Making me watch that.
You could say that for a lot of things.
I think the WCW promos and the WCW endings are what drive me nuts.
Yes.
And this show put a pin in it, and, you know.
Yeah, agreed.
Benoit Malenko, match of the night, hands down.
Okay.
A -7, the attorney promo.
Yeah, that was CT23's as well. Chris put that as his.
This guy's smart. We need to get him on the podcast.
Yeah. What do you? So we'll give our rankings after I give my thoughts. Yeah, this was a weird show. This was very promo heavy. But it felt like nothing got over.
It felt like it was rushed and the segments were out of order than what they needed to be.
And boy, this is peak Reign of Terror nWo too.
Yes.
Because they were on every freaking segment. And it's just like, my lord, guys, what are we doing?
The only segment they weren't involved with was the Cruiserweights and the Benoit Malenko. The rest of the show had nWo involvement.
Kind of. Yeah. They weren't involved. Okay, because there's a difference between a segment and a match.
Yeah.
Every segment involved the nWo. Yes. Not every match did, though.
Except for the Neidhart.
The Neidhart Flair. And we're right there. Yeah, this was a weird one. This wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. My -7 of the night, man, I'm gonna give it to the Neidhart Flair thing.
That was the Young Guns of WCW, brother.
Because it was just so bad. It was so bad.
I would watch that 6 times over than that fucking attorney.
That attorney one was bad, man. You two were right on making that your -7. Man, for simplicity's sake, I think I'm going to say that's the -7 of the night. Because, like, that attorney segment was just so fucking asinine, and, like, nothing got done from it.
They couldn't even find the fucking hard cam.
No.
And they had to have the commentary team go back and clarify because it was such a fucking mess.
Yeah. Honestly, match of the night, I agree with you. Steiner, or Benoit Malenko. My second match of the night is this tag match. The tag match was actually really good.
It was good up until the ending.
I'm going to give this show, it a 2-4.
I gave it a 2-3.
Okay, so we're right about
I wanted
there.
to give it a 2 just because, but I had to give him bonus points because it did have Raven.
Yeah.
And Scott Hall's toothpick lasted that whole match.
Yeah. Here are some final thoughts from wonderful Patreon backer, CT23. Shout out to him. He had this to say. He said, "This is the first WCW event I've ever watched, and it wasn't bad. I thought the matches were short, and there was too many. I kind of agree with him on that one. Seemed to move quickly through the segments, but maybe WWE/F was the same around this time. Didn't watch WWE until 07, 08, so I wouldn't know." Yeah, he's right on that, because I feel like it's even though I do think that this show did feel very long, it felt long.
Yeah.
That Raw that we did a review of, these two are very similar. These two are very similar in the sense of like short matches, a lot of segments, but which, we're giving Nitro, we're giving Nitro shit for how they were so focused on nWo stories. I mean, look back at that Raw.
Yeah.
What other stories got over besides the Stone Cold story?
DX.
And the DX and Taker story. That's it.
Yep.
I mean, you had the Nation story, but no one cared.
You had the NWA story.
You had the NWA story, but no one cared. The big focus was on Rumble, which is good that
it needed to be.
That's a go-home show, so it should be. He closes out by saying that the announcers were bad, couldn't say the right thing half the time, and talked about the NWO through half of the other matches. Yeah, that's just WCW for you, brother.
Yep.
That's just WCW for you.
I want to put a pin in it. I'm tired of doing WCW. I'm tired of doing WWF. The next review, not saying when, but I think we should go Wrestling Society X.
That would be a fun short one because those shows are very quick. Those
we
are
could do like 2 episodes in one.
Yeah, that would be fun to do. That would definitely be fun to do. Yeah.
Spice it up a little bit.
Yeah. I actually have something to say about that whenever the mics are off. Someone just had a reaction to that moment, I guarantee. I'll tell you who.
Okay.
Yeah. It goes without saying. The Raw was better.
Yes.
The Raw was better. Both of these shows were meant to build pay-per-views, and I think
the Raw was better, but I think match-wise, Nitro was better.
I'll agree with you on that one. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and hop off here. For those of you on the Patreon, we're going to be rolling into podski. Looking forward to that one. This is going to be a fun one. We're gonna talk about
gear, baby,
about wrestling gear. Yeah, and then we're gonna go from there. So you can of course find me on Instagram at DWob's Card Shop. You can find Michael Madrox on Instagram at the word 1 and then the numbers 900 909 9900. Of course, MadBashStudios.com. That's the big plug. And for those of you on the Patreon, we're heading into paid show. And the rest of you, we'll see you down the road on some form of content.